Hey guys, what's up? I haven't done a video from back here in a while, have I? You know, the markets are pretty scary right now. It's weird. The prices on really good products just keep falling. Like I showed on the Friday Seal deals, the Double Masters 2022 collector boxes have fallen like $20 over the last couple of weeks. Like, what's that? 7-8% of their price. And even things like Modern Horizons 2 collector boxes, the lowest price has not really fallen in a couple weeks, but the ones right above that at that $400 price point, there's more and more boxes piling up at that psychological barrier of $400. And so I wanted to just kind of take a minute and talk about something. And you'll hear this a lot when you watch like investing content or you read financial articles or especially you read like the cesspit comments section of either of those, and it's talking about catching the falling knife. And of course, when people talk about catching the falling knife, what they mean is, well, when an asset is dropping, you should not buy it because it's gonna keep dropping. It's this really weird, illogical argument that's dumb. But basically, the way it goes is people think that, well, if something is falling, then it's falling because it's a stupid investment and it's worthless and it'll just keep falling, and so you shouldn't catch that falling knife. And the analogy is like when you drop a knife, you don't reach out and try to catch it while it's in midair, or you'll probably cut yourself. You let it hit the floor, and then it stops at the floor, and it's safe to reach down and pick it up then. But of course, in investing, you don't know where the floor is. You never know where the floor is until the future when you look backwards and you see where an asset bottomed out in price. And so the whole kind of analogy is dumb. Wrong is maybe a better way to say it, because you don't know where the floor is, and obviously you really don't get hurt by buying an asset that's falling in price. And you could imagine that on the long timeline, yeah, that asset may have fallen in price. Maybe it fell, another 20, 30, 40% after you bought it. But on the long timeline, especially in TCG investing, most products do pretty good. And so it's going to be very, very rare that we'll encounter a product where maybe we bought it on the way down and 2, 3, 5 years later, it'll still be that low or lower. That's going to be a really rare situation. And, maybe people who pre-ordered Crimson Vow collector boxes, I don't have the data on what those peaked at during pre-order, but, if they were like a lot of other collector boxes in that era and the following era, there was probably some people who pre-ordered them at 250, 270, 280, and today what are they? 130, 140. But hopefully those people who bought them at those prices because they wanted to open them, they wanted to be first. But otherwise, if they're still holding on to them, they may be holding on to those Crimson Vow collector boxes at values below what they paid for years. I mean, it may be 4, 5, 6 years before it comes up to those kind of prices. But in general, things will come back a lot sooner than that. And if you go back, you look at stock charts from the era of the great financial crisis, 2008, 2009, yeah, everything went down terribly. I mean, individual stocks, some of them lost 80, 90%. If we go back even further to the dot-com bust, of course, Cisco is the great example. It went down like 98% or something like that, and then I don't know that it's even recovered to today. But you have to find very dramatic individual examples like that in order to see a situation where having reached in and caught that proverbial falling knife never pays off. And those are rare. And so when we're in a situation in the TCG market like right now, we have things like Baldur's Gate collector boxes at 140 right now. Kaldheim is 144. Adventures in the Forgotten Realms about the same. Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow are in the 130s. All of those boxes, they're going to turn around. All of those are selling way below wholesale price. They'll all turn around. They'll all come back up later. But the thing is, you have to buy at some point. And you will never know that you are reaching in and grabbing that knife on the floor. And that's the conceit and really, I guess, the kind of misunderstanding of the people who use that kind of warning about don't catch a falling knife. It's that they don't really understand that they don't know when the knife has hit the floor. And so it's really just a silly kind of thing that people say to try to look smart. So don't worry about that. We all know Magic will be around in 10 years. Yes, I know. It's disgusting and disappointing is really a better word. It's disappointing watching WotC make such bad decisions. It's disappointing watching how they've handled 2021 and 22. But as a viewer pointed out to me earlier today, they made a lot of the decisions about how to manage 2021 and 22 probably during 2020. They saw the mania of 2020 and they said, hit the accelerator as hard as we can. And so, it's disappointing, but they're not going to go away. WotC is not going to go bankrupt. Hasbro is not going to go bankrupt. The game will not fold. Even if WotC got into terrible trouble, some other company would step in and buy the IP and try to turn it around. So, even if the financial situation was awful, the game would continue. And so it's not going away. Pokemon's not going away. Flesh and Blood is almost certainly not going away. There's probably a tiny, tiny chance on, say, the 3 to 5 year period that it could fail, but it would be low single digit chance. And it's probably somewhere like 1 to 2% chance. I really don't think it's going to happen. But the point is, all of these things, even if the assets are beaten down today, they're not bad assets. They're simply beaten down for a lot of good reasons. Some of those caused by WotC, some the broader TCG market, and some just the broader economy in general. But most of the reason that these assets are beaten down is not because they are bad assets. Crimson Vow, potentially an exception to that rule. Some would argue Baldur's Gate, but I think as time goes on, Baldur's Gate will be remembered more and more fondly. There were a lot of other circumstances that have caused its trouble. So I guess the moral of all of this is, yes, reach out and grab the falling knife. I mean, that's how you make the most money as an investor. You buy assets when they're falling because you're not sure if they are bottoming right now as you buy them, or if they'll bottom later today in reverse, or if they'll bottom next week or 6 months or a year from now. But you have to buy at some point. At some point, you must commit to buying without knowing what the future will be. We never know what the future will be with asset prices. And so we're always doing that. So don't give in to the kind of like momentum attitude and mindset of this thing is falling, that means it's terrible and it's just going to keep falling. In terms of the TCG market, I expect it to remain soft for 2, 3, 4 more months maybe. And it'll probably go down a little more during that time. I mean, a lot of products have basically, a lot of products are being sold at a loss and now they're being sold at bigger losses. But, I expect the market to be weak for months to come, and I'm going to keep buying. I mean, this is where you make money, is when things are on sale. You buy more of them. You don't get scared and say, hey, this thing I would have loved to own when it was $250 a box. Well, I don't want it now that it's $140 per box. No, you buy it. You buy more of it. You maybe try to allocate even more money towards your purchases, because in the long run, it's going to reverse. Things will return to something closer to their fundamental value, however you personally calculate fundamental value of things like cardboard squares. But don't be afraid to reach in and catch the falling knife. Right now is an amazing buying opportunity, and in the future we'll look back and we'll all wish we had bought more at these prices. So let me know what you think about that. I know this is kind of a subject that irritates me when I see people say don't catch the falling knife, because I think those people are missing out, and I think they'll be filled with regret in the future. Leave your comments below. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Join me on Final Trade. Thanks a lot, guys. Join the Patreon.